My mother-in-law-to-be keeps trying to take over my wedding. When my boyfriend asked me to marry him, I was conflicted. I loved him, but I was afraid of what came next. But Jake was my whole heart, so I said yes. When we told my father, he was both happy and sad. I'd always imagined telling my mother, but she died when I was a baby. My boyfriend's mother, on the other hand, was overjoyed, which was strange, since she'd made it clear I wasn't good enough for her son to stupid, too uncultured to plain. Eventually I'd gone low contact, but we still had to share the news. And suddenly she'd been rooting for us all along. Then she started trying to commandeer the wedding, and it all made sense. It started small. We wanted a cozy wedding in my hometown. She preferred a larger affair. We wanted only family. She wanted to invite several people I didn't know. I'm sure your family are wonderful cooks, but wouldn't it be better to use my caterer? It made no sense. Why was she this involved? Didn't she understand? Then I realized she didn't understand. Probably because doing so would involve actually paying attention to something not about her. I was going to be my family's first new bride of the generation. It was a pretty big deal. But she just wanted to have her do-over wedding, so I let her. From then on, whenever she tried to butt in, I just smiled at her. Jake didn't care. They'd never been close, but he was a bit confused. I just told him it was easier this way. The day of the wedding arrived. Everything was ready. The procession was about to start. My family beamed at me with love and gratitude. Then Jake's mother came waltzing into the chapel at the last minute, in a white wedding dress. Everyone stared at her in shock, and she immediately smirked at me, expecting a reaction. But I just smiled back, ignoring her confusion. I calmly walked down the aisle in my plain dress and took Jake's side. The pastor began reading our vows, which were normal except for a few additions. When he spoke about honoring our commitment and love being about sacrifice, Jake was a bit confused, but I squeezed his hand and smiled at him. Then a giant hand of fire exploded through the floor and reached for the person dressed like a bride, Jake's mother. As she was dragged to hell screaming, I squeezed Jake's hand and cried in relief. It was over. My whole life, I'd known I'd be sacrificed at my wedding to honor the deal that kept the town safe. Now the deal was complete. The bride had been taken. I was free. I hugged my now husband, grateful for the life we'd get to have together. The life my mother never had since she was sacrificed months after my birth. I guess my mother-in-law came through for me after all.